of this committee, could you please identify yourself?
Chris Bersalis, Tom Burgunder.
Bobby Fan.
Thank you. Other members of the board, could you please identify yourselves?
Emma
Joe
Shukier.
Todd.
Thank you. Good morning again. The minutes from the September 25th meeting of this committee has been circulated. Unless anyone has any questions or corrections, I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now have a presentation for Amy. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, committee members and board members and everyone else. I'm Amy Silberman. I'm the Chief Development Officer. I wanted to provide 2 service updates for our October service changes for things that we had originally scheduled, which will have some changes to them to make sure that we're being clear with both of them to the public. So the first, and both impact a group of routes. So I wanted to make sure that the board and members of the public were aware. The first is our Mount Washington Transit Tunnel. This is the bus and light rail tunnel that connects the Station Square area to the South Hills Junction area near downtown, and which all of our light rail trains, when it's open, go through, and a handful of bus routes as well. So this tunnel has been closed since February, undergoing a rehabilitation and replacement of the rail and the roadway inside the tunnel, as well as other items. We were hoping that the tunnel would be open by the end of October, but we are not going to be able to make that date. So wanted to let everyone know that we will detour our buses and light rail lines on their current routings, which are currently already detoured since the tunnel is closed, but that detour will continue until we are able to open the tunnel back up. The reason for letting you know specifically is because our schedules had the buses and light rail returning to the tunnel. And so our timetables and schedules will note that it's in the tunnel, but we will still be detouring up and over Mount Washington through Allentown. And then also for buses, they are detouring outbound through the Wabash Tunnel. And we will continue those current routings until we can get that tunnel open, which is likely to be a couple more weeks at least. So we will not be changing anything else with regard to the current operation. So the light rail cars will still serve their temporary stops in Allentown at Allen Street. And then our subway local rail shuttle will continue to operate to serve Station Square, which is being missed by the regular routing because of the tunnel closure. And that will still be free to use Station Square with the subway local route until we have the tunnel reopened. So as soon as we have a specific timeline and hoped date to reopen the tunnel, we will get that information out with our communications teams to the website and everywhere else that we normally post that information, as well as at stops and other things like that as soon as we have it. So we hope to have that very soon. And then the second update, a positive one. So folks may already be aware, but just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page. We had, at the direction of the property owner of the waterfront, moved our bus routes that serve the Giant Eagle and Target bus stops at the waterfront for our October service changes because they were on private property, and that request was made. Since then, in late September, we had a meeting with many elected officials, including our county executive, the lieutenant governor, and Representative Piscatano, all of whom helped us come to a mutual agreement with the private property owner to be able to continue serving those 2 bus stops while we continue to work on a new solution, which is hoped to be a combined bus stop in between the Giant Eagle and the Target. So we are continuing to work with the property owner and Giant Eagle on that new bus stop, but that will not be in place in October. It doesn't require some light construction to build out, as well as concurrence from all those property owners. But we're still working on that with them and feel hopeful about that. And in the meantime, we will continue to serve those 2 bus stops in front of the waterfront. However, because we had planned those into the schedule to be moved out of the Giant Eagle and Target stops, we will be putting the routes on detour on their current routing. And then both for this and for the Mount Washington Transit Tunnel, those detours will be built into our true time so that riders can still see for all buses where the buses are at any given moment. So it may impact, if you're using a paper timetable or something like that, that paper timetable is going to show those buses no longer in the waterfront, but we will reprint and get out new timetables as quickly as we can. And then, of course, we will build that change into our next service change, which is in February of 2026, so that all of our paper documents are updated and all of our schedules are correct again. So that's all. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I wanted to provide those two sort of detour updates since they weren't in our planned schedule changes.
Fantastic. Do any committee members have any questions?
Yes, this is Bobby. I'm really happy to hear the developments with the waterfront. And I'm curious to know if there is any discussion around PRT's procedures moving forward with new developments, especially large ones, that would consider pushing for certain agreements so that situations like this don't happen in the future.
Yes, absolutely. So we do have an agreement with the waterfront for our layover space that our buses use while they're on break between trips, which is behind these storefronts. And we have in the past at times just had verbal agreements in certain cases when we have these layovers. Now PRT always tries to get a written agreement for any of our agreements with private property owners when we're doing like this. So that is a practice of ours now. In this particular case, we had to renew that agreement, and we're working on that throughout the summer, but it is now in place.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Do any other board members have any questions? If not, thank you.
All right, thank you.
That ends the agenda for this committee today. And may I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Adjourn.
The next item on the list is the Finance Committee. Member Shuhar?
Yes. Sorry, I was waiting for the slide to change.
Apologies.
I would like to call to order the meeting of the Finance Committee. Will members of the committee present today please identify themselves?
Joe Totten.
Senator Williams.
Other board members?
Tom Bergender, Chris Bursalis,
Stephanie
Tia
Turner.
McClinney. Bobby Fan.
Jen Liptak, and can the record be noted that I was on for the prior meeting? I just didn't want to interrupt. Thanks.
The minutes from the September meeting of the Finance Committee have been circulated. Unless there are any comments or corrections, I'd like a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. The first item on today's agenda is an overview of the past programs.
Good morning, committee members. My name is Kelsey Shannon. I am the Deputy Chief of Strategic Initiatives, and as requested by this board, I'm here today to provide an overview of PRT's past programs. In particular, I'm going to focus on the Partner Pass, Job Perks, UPass, and Allegheny Go. I believe this board asked what growth opportunities we see for this program. So I guess to start, I will say that For Partner Pass, the opportunities are endless. We paused marketing and outreach to companies for the last year because of our financial unknowns, particularly those related to potential fare increases. Now that our financial situation is a little bit more stable, we are reaching out and engaging with more entities. As you can see there, it's focused on employers, landlords, and schools. And this is a heavily discounted rate for our monthly passes. Next, we have our Job Perks program. This one has been around for nearly a decade, and there is room to grow here as well. This we really see as an opportunity to grow through our outreach with Partner Pass. You know, if Partner Pass isn't necessarily a good fit, then we'll maybe direct folks to Job Perks. With this one, it's focused on employers, and folks are able to receive this pass with, this discount through pre-tax payroll deductions. Then we have our UPass. Currently, it is $1.98 per tap or scan for those participating students, or faculty members are also able to be opted in to that program. And we include most universities already in this program, so the growth opportunities are limited there as far as like getting new entities on board, but certainly getting more folks to utilize the program that they have would be excellent. And then we have Allegheny Go. Again, this is our half fare program that is in partnership with Allegheny County DHS. It is limited to SNAP recipients, and while I suppose it's limited to that, there are plenty more folks that receive SNAP benefits in Allegheny County than are currently enrolled in the program, so there's certainly room to grow with that. Going to then now dive a little bit deeper on what we've done with each program. All right, so Partner Pass. You might remember we did a pilot for this program. Through that pilot, we worked with 4 different entities around Allegheny County. Through that, we heard that folks would choose a job based on an employer providing a transit pass. This increased their use of transit in general. They used the pass to go to more destinations than just their job. It seemed very successful, and so we decided to make it a real program here with Partner Pass. Like I mentioned before, this first phase 1 and phase 2 of preparation and soft launch, we were trying to stay low key because we wanted to see what happened with our financial situation. And but now that that is more settled, we're able to reach out more. So if you click again, Jordan. So we've engaged with 98 local employers, property managers, and schools to gauge interest in the program, but also folks reaching out through our website, our Get in Touch. And even with this limited situation that we've had, we've still able to, have 2 contracts out right now and 1 enrolled, and we're hoping that it snowballs from there now with our new situation. So this is an example of our outreach. On the left there, you'll see a postcard that we're going to be sending out next week. I believe it's about 9,000 that we're sending out next week. We also have radio spots starting next week that will feature Partner Pass and Job Perks. Speaking of Job Perks, then this is a little bit more of the breakdown of what I was talking about before of the pre-tax benefit. So there's a lot of numbers up there, but essentially you can pay for your pass or put that stored value pre-tax, and that's where that benefit comes in. And so, like I said before, because we're reaching out with this new Partner Pass program, we are also kind of giving folks a menu of options, particularly reaching out to employers and saying, you know what, if Partner Pass isn't for you because Partner Pass requires 100% participation, Job Perks might be a better fit. And I should say, when I'm saying we, I mean Paulina Mandeville. She's our fabulous leader on this project. And so that's really small there, but it's basically a side-by-side comparison of the 2 programs. Right. As you can see, this has remained pretty steady over the last few years, even our number of participants in job perks. We're hoping to increase this. With UPass, we have 6 participating universities. The last time we negotiated these contracts, we added 3 more universities onto the program. And they're all in different stages of their transition to using our mobile ticketing app and the account-based system. So the right, the taps there prior to this the rate was 50% per tap. As I mentioned, when we renegotiated the contract, we adjusted that rate. And on the next page, you will see that there's a lot of numbers, but then actually the next slide will show that we have exceeded, as a FY25, we've exceeded our pre-pandemic revenue for the UPass. And that's obviously due to our renegotiation with the rates and adding those 3 new universities. Similarly, you can see a big jump from pre-pandemic, post-pandemic with ridership there, but that one seems to be leveling off a little bit more. Right, and just Carlow University, one of our newer universities to sign on. This just them emphasizing how important it is for their students. It's crucial for them attending classes, accessing resources, and maintaining a healthy balance between academic and personal responsibilities. I think this makes a huge difference in those lives, and we know, when folks use it in university and younger, then they continue to be transit riders. The next program is Allegheny Go. The current enrollment is around 10,600. And I want to say thank you to our communications team, both customer service and marketing, for their work on this. They've been crucial in helping this succeed with the county. We have interior cards, postcards, and flyers. These postcards in particular that you see up there were sent to households provided by DHS as program eligible households in McKeesport, McKees Rocks, Penn Hills, Baldwin, Brentwood, Turtle Creek, etc. A little over 12,000 postcards were sent out by PRT for this. And DHS reported a 17% ROI on the first mailing, which is great for direct mail. Those a quick overview of all of our programs there, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple.
Yes.
Your Partner Pass program, you say that you have one entity that has signed up to participate?
Yes.
Who are they?
It is the Bakery Square Spring Hill Suites.
Now, you worked with some other organizations in the pilot.
Correct.
Have you gone back to them to find out if they want to participate now that the program has been established?
Yes, we have been in contact with the folks that participated in that original round in the pilot. Some of them have been buying passes at full fare, actually, since then. And a few of them are nonprofits. And actually, one of the things that we've heard from participants in the pilot program and other nonprofits that we have reached out to is a desire for maybe different opportunities. And so we're taking that feedback and meeting up with our team here to see what we can do to make it more palatable for folks. I think that the 100% participation is sometimes a rough hurdle.
So as a result of the contact that you've had with them and the internal discussions, conceivably you would modify the Partner Pass program?
I believe when we came to the board in November, we'd mentioned, we're going to study the participation and the usage of the passes over 18 months and come back to this board and say, based on what we've seen, not just what we've heard from folks, obviously, but also the pass utilization, what other price points are we able to offer? What other options are we able to offer? So that is the intention.
I have a question about the UPass program. maybe in the past I learned about the mechanics of it, but can you refresh me
Sure.
in terms of the mechanics, the costs, either to the individual or to the universities? How does that work?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if you want to go back, Jordan, to that to the UPass there, but so for UPass, typically the university, I would say 5 out of the 6 universities, rather, they collect a transportation fee from their students and use that large bucket then to pay us for this program, and we charge them based on the TAPs for the students, or rather scams if they're on our Ready to Ride system. So the only difference there is Duquesne University, who charges these students directly back for the exact amount that they have tapped or scanned for.
All right, but specifically, do all the students at all the universities, or do the universities pay the same amount for each pass?
So they pay by tap. And actually, Jordan, if you, I think, go back 1 more, 2 more, 3 more. Right. So here, there's a percent based on our full fare that the universities pay. So in the 25 to 26 school year, that is 72%. So each tap or scan that a student does is we tally that up and send that back to the university. I'm sorry, am I answering your question?
So each university then is charged 72% of the prevailing rate for the fare?
More or less, yes, per tap. So it's a little bit different. So when anyone of the public right now taps their card or scans, they are charged $275 and are able to ride for 3 hours, right?
Right,
But for a university student, it is per tap, so every single time. So if you have transfers or something like that, then it is charged every time you tap or scan.
At a percentage of the 275 rate?
Correct.
And then so you tally that, somehow you can isolate that by university, and then you
Yes.
send the university a bill based on the taps?
Correct.
And they reimburse you for those costs?
Yep.
Thank you.
I have a few questions as well.
Mhm.
So apologize for playing a little bit of catch up on,
No, that's
on these
okay.
programs, but
I wasn't sure how much detail you wanted.
appreciate that. The partner pass with the pilot, was that like the end of that pilot? Was data shared publicly with the board, et cetera, of like what those outcomes were?
Yes, yes, yeah, we can get that.
Okay. The 100% participation, is that 100% participation of that business you're working with? So
So-
all of their workers have to use it? All their
Well,
employees?
they have to offer it to everyone. So, and they have to pay for everyone. So, it's actually a little bit different with each entity. So for an employer, yes, they can choose which locations they want to opt into this. So let's say, you know, they have one that's downtown and one that's in Cranberry. They're not going to be beholden to opt in the one in Cranberry as well, if they only choose the location downtown. That's we allow that in there. For schools, for school districts, we do require that it is all buildings, granted that it's 6th grade and up, because that is a requirement of the program. And then for properties, similarly, they can choose location to location. So if they own multiple properties, they don't have to opt in all of them.
So the feedback that you're getting from entities now that you're going back to that did the pilot that are hesitant to enroll, did they offer that same feedback at the end of the pilot? And do we make changes?
So at the end of the pilot, we did make changes, but not necessarily to reflect that. So at the end of the pilot, or sorry, during the pilot, we charged $25 per person. I should say these were smaller entities that they were also able to participate in this program because we got a small grant from the Heinz Endowment to conduct the bulk pass study. So there's a few differences here of like, we were able to charge less during the pilot because we were subsidized by the grant program. And so I think there are a few things there, and it was less than 100 total participants during the pilot. I think when we're looking at the actual program and saying, can you commit to this for over a year? Some of these folks were hesitant because of the potential service cuts as well. So I'm eager to go back to them and say, do you feel more comfortable now that you know that your routes are not going to be gone?
What are the goals for this program and the other programs, either enrollment or revenue from each of the programs specifically?
So in our first year, our goal is to have at least one anchor anchor participant, which I think we've defined as someone over 200 employees or tenants or something like that, that can ensure that whoever else we are able to participate or who's able to participate in this program, we can have a pooled cost such that, you know, if we have as much as we love smaller entities and nonprofits, if they're going to participate in this, they're more likely to have more of their folks on the program, and then that discount doesn't make as much sense. If we have a larger entity on the program, then the cost is pooled and spread out a little bit more. And so our main goal, I would say, is to acquire an anchor participant for the program this year. We certainly would like to expand beyond that and have smaller ones as well, but that would be the main one.
Okay. Are there goals, specific goals for the other, for UPass or Allegheny Go or Job Perks?
Yeah, you did. I'm trying to decide which one to start with first. Okay, so Allegheny Go, I know that County DHS does have some goals for their increased participation. They really, we're very grateful. They really run the show with that. Certainly, as I showed up there, we've helped with some outreach there. But I believe we have 160,000 SNAP recipients in Allegheny County and about 10,000-ish participants right now. So we certainly have room to grow there. And Job Perks, yeah, we really haven't done anything with Job Perks other than offer it up until now. We haven't done outreach for Job Perks. And so we are excited to start.
Calling the big guns.
I know. Go ahead.
Oh, wait a sec.
You did a great job. I apologize. I
did.
went, I went in the weeds, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Got going. Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Kelsey.
You did too.
You guys got going.
I want to sneak by, but
Yeah, no, yeah, well, so don't. So good questions. On all of the programs, the goal is to get a set pool of folks who are like, hey, I'm going to use transit. Maybe I wouldn't. So on the job on Partner Pass, we look at our friends around the industry, and what we see best case scenarios, you make sure everybody's covered. You get a core group of folks who are taking you to and from work, but then you start getting more sort of fringe riders like, well, I wasn't going to take this, but I'm going to a Pens game and now I don't need to park, so on and so forth. So it starts building that bucket up for us. And the program is structured so we can come back, I think 6 months to a year, and look at each individual entity. So if your entity is participating at a 28%, that's what you're paying. But 35% of your folks are riding, we can get closer. For only 15 are, we can get lower down on that number. But keeping it flexible. So we're hitting the price point. It's a good reimbursement, but it is a baked in benefit. It is a, what is this expression Google used a million years ago? We're removing friction. Person's got their fare card, they're good to go. On the Job Perks, that actually works out. It's one that employers can offer out to their folks. Somebody's a transit user getting a discount, but is Paulina in here so she can wave? Hi, Paulina. We have a person now, which we have not previously had. We had folks who are doing a bunch of things, but Paulina's function is business and corporate relations, and so she's getting out, making sure more folks know. So we anticipate more growth. Something that I'm confident that you would be interested in, and potentially other board members, but I know you'd be interested in, is a dive in the ridership on Allegheny Go. So the maximum, you've heard this before, you have time or you have money. We absolutely see that with our DHS participants. And so what we see on Allegheny Go, we're not seeing folks who get in the program and use their pass 30 or 40 times a week. And for the transit folks, we're, oh my God, what's going on? You dig a little bit, we talked United Way, and we're hearing, someone participating in Allegheny Go is also likely to be enrolled in a Head Start program, VOTEC, et cetera, where they don't pick their location. So you might live in East Liberty and your VOTEC is in Homestead, but your Head Start program is in McKees Rocks. And so now and if you've ever been around a small child at 4 a.m, they don't work. Like they're shaking. And so we're talking to families where, yes, they could use the Allegheny Go program, but they're getting that kid up at 4 to leave the house at 5 to get to McKees Rocks to drop them off and go elsewhere. And what they'll end up doing is Ubering to one of the trips and then taking transit. So in the pilot program with DHS, we saw an awful lot of 8 or 9 trips a week. So interesting what we can do that was pull that information and plug that into bus line redesign. So we start smoothing out some of these really long trips to make it easier to go. But each one of these is essentially hitting into a separate market. So it's not that we are not moving the Allegheny Go to be like, hey, everybody do this. We are participating with the marketing support. We have the resources that DHS doesn't. So we can design collateral, we can mail it out. That one, though, I think the longer term benefit is to start seeing where these travel patterns are that we can improve. And now that we don't have a fiscal crisis going on right now, we have some breathing room to add better trips. And I pick on the hospital in Natrona, but maybe it's that Head Start location in McKees Rocks or something like that. Is that helpful?
That is helpful.
Okay.
I think it would also be helpful for the board to sort of see each of those programs broken out with ridership goals and what the revenue anticipation is for each of those programs or goals for each of those programs that is baked into our budget so that when we're looking at it for next year, we can see where revenue came on each program and where revenue growth is coming.
So if it's okay for an answer, let's pull something we can push out to everybody via email. Make sure that's meeting your expectation. We can share a little bit more broadly on that. We can post it onto our website. And then maybe like just a real quick quarterly update that we're pushing that content out. Is that
I
okay?
think that would
Will
be
that
great.
work?
Thank you. Thank you.
Isn't the underlying goal of these programs to fill up the buses?
It's more people on the vehicles, absolutely. So it's make it easier for folks. So it's like a multi-pronged thing. So yes, get rid of the barrier folks having to pay, make it easier so the fare is covered. But then that also goes hand in hand with ridership information that the board was discussing last month. Is it easy to figure out where your vehicle is going? Our hiring, I mean, it's not something we should be proud of, but we are one of the few entities in our size that is fully hired up. So you pull our peers or our friends' social media feed, and you still see that services being canceled because they don't have manpower. We have enough manpower to do this. So our scheduling group is doing a big focus on service runtimes and reliability. So is it easy? I don't have to worry about the fare. And then Adam Brandoff and I were talking about this yesterday. Adam lives downtown. Adam just walks out the door and knows that transit is going to be there. So it's make it easy to use because I don't have to worry about the fare. I don't have to worry about frequency. We already have amazing operators, so we know it's going to be a great experience for somebody. So it's sort of a cumulative. I mean, AI sounds fantastic, bless you, and extra glitter sounds fantastic, and automated cars sound fantastic. Folks need a clean, courteous, reliable, respectful ride. That's what we is our core business and what we should be able to deliver. And it all comes down to more people on the buses, absolutely, and trains and vans. Let's not forget that. Back to Kelsey.
This is Bobby also, just for the quick
Hi, Bobby.
question. I also am, interested in seeing these programs grow and see the connection to ridership is also tied back to our general state funding formula as well. So there's, I think, multiple reasons, even if you, are just looking at the numbers to continue to grow that. And I'm curious with Allegheny Go. Back when there were discussions about potential fare raises, I had asked about any conversations about making that program fully free. And I'm also curious about the current agreement between DHS and PRT on what it seems like are they buying the fare cards at full price currently, or just wanting to know what that agreement is?
Sorry, I just realized that this was here. With the Allegheny Go program, we actually are just kind of the pass through for this. We help folks get their cards. We help folks get their pass on their phone, but 50% of it is paid by the rider, 50% of it is paid by county DHS. We don't actually pay for this program other than our staff hours and our marketing contributions.
Good morning, everyone. In regards to the program becoming fully free, that is going to be up to the county. We have been in conversations with the county, and I must admit that with the funding crisis, that conversation has taken a bit of a back burner. However, what we've been looking at is what other agencies are doing across the nation who are able to provide those fully discounted fares to organizations like the county for groups that they serve. And those agencies often have other funding options and different funding sources, including things like local tax options and things of that nature, where they're able to fill in. Some of those other agencies have local organizations that are contributing dollars to fund that program. It usually is not the agency funding it. And so one of the main conversations that we have been in or will continue to have with the county is trying to find creative ways in order to fund that program so that it can be fully free. Right now, the DHS does fund the 50% that the rider does not pay. And so as we have that goal to move toward fully funded for the riders, those are some of the things that we're exploring, and it is still in the works.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Catherine, I have an off-the-wall question that relates a little bit to our discussion today, but not totally. I applaud PRT for structuring its hiring process to get full hires for drivers and other positions. That's great. On the other hand, the access companies are struggling to find enough drivers and other people to make the system work well. Have there been any discussions between PRT officials and the access people down the street or their contractors to find out what worked well for you and what's not working well for them, and whether something can be done with them to maybe improve their hiring performance and retention performance and thus improve the services that they offer?
Tom, that's not off the wall. That is an excellent question. And you're right, access is legitimately across the street, so it's very cheek and jowl. Realistically, what it comes down, the world it's different for hiring. Anybody who has been hiring post-COVID, employee expectations are different. What people are looking for is different. So previously you could hire and say, hey, we're paying X and we have solid benefits or not, right? And interestingly, what we saw in our access carriers is we only had previously one of our access contractors was unionized, and they had the highest wages, and they were not fully employed, whereas some of the others were. So, clearly looking at what folks are looking for in the market has shifted. For the most part, it does come down to the hourly rate. And one of the things that becomes a problem there is we contract out with one centralized broker, and then that centralized broker works with their individual, whoever they're hiring up, with their rates, et cetera, et cetera. So we go out pretty much annually to renew this contract, but a big thing to work around is how much, what is the broker putting out there as, hey, this is how much I'm going to pay out to my vendors. We can go through a competitive bid process and come out for more, but we are unfortunately really structured into what a broker or a third party company will say is how much they can pay. I individually, as your transit person, would pay more per operator hour because it's cheaper to have folks around than it is to pay somebody else overtime or just to scramble for later trip. I mean, our budget, we famously have same day overtime, which we famously bemoan, but by having same day overtime, we actually run a leaner margin than a lot of, so everywhere I've been except here, you want a 20% bench, essentially. For every 5 workers, you need an extra worker to make sure it's covered. Here, we can make it with a 12 to 15% bench because we offer that same day overtime. Folks are willing to work more hours. so we're a great example of we pay more, but that means we always come to you under on wages and benefits. We're over on overtime, but we're under on wages and benefits. So I think we are absolutely amenable to a conversation. The knock-on effect is going to be it takes up the cost, obviously it would, and there is a certain amount of structure that we are funded through PennDOT on our van-based services, and so there are constraints on how much we can do on that hourly rate before we would actively absorb it versus being reimbursed on PennDOT. However, it's 100% free if you're not carrying people, and our job is to carry people. So I think that's something that we're happy to go back and revisit with folks.
One last question. For UPass, I noticed there were a couple ones that seemed to fit the criteria not on the list. CCAC, Robert Morris, LaRoche. Is there efforts to get those other entities?
Yes. Tag teaming. I will say specifically, CCAC does not have a transportation fund. So, but this is something we could talk about in legislation, Senator. So CCAC buys passes flat out. They buy about 1,000 weekly passes a semester to fill in with their students. Data is very clear, especially at community college. Dr. Brusalis can fill us in on other ones, but community college transportation, if you run out of transportation October, November, you're going to drop out. However, so they don't have that, but I know Dr. Bullock has a lot of really good information we could pull, and it is an opportunity to say, hey, is there a pilot program the legislature could support? Is there what could we do to make it easier? Because I'm just saying, and those are the, and we have models around the country, places that maybe do a semester pass so something different that's, splitting the baby between UPass and Partner Pass. So maybe it's a full semester pass, but a student has the opportunity to purchase it at financial aid, and it comes out to a really deeply discounted rate, but they lock it in for the semester. I think we can get creative. I'm going to guess that Kelsey's already looked at that, so I'm going to give it back to her.
The specific things that you mentioned there, I'm sure that our financial consultants will have big thoughts on that. But as far as reaching out to those entities, yes, we have done so, and we've had some conversations, and they have not seemed fully interested in participating.
All right, great. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions on these past programs? Not, then I will move ahead. So it's ready for Dominica. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Finance Committee and other board members. Dominica Brown, the Chief Financial Officer. And now I will go over a review of our capital programs, projects, and the updates there. So we all are aware that facing service cuts and fare increases, we made a request to PennDOT to be able to use capital for operating purposes. We are planning to use up to $106.7 million towards our 2026 and 2027 operating budgets. And some of the things that we have been doing and are actively engaging in right now is taking a look at our existing projects, reevaluating how we're prioritizing those projects, making sure we're checking for safety considerations and ensuring that all of those projects will still continue. And we are looking at delaying funding based on our cash demands. And so what that means is that rather than budgeting and putting the entire cost of a project toward budgeting that up front, which we have done in the past, over the past few years, PRT has prioritized moving to a cash flow model, which means that we are providing the cash for the projects as the cash is needed on a year basis. So I'm sure some of you have heard about the unspent balance and capital dollars that we have, and that is something that we've begun in the last 3 years or so in order to spend that balance down. This action of being able to use capital for operating essentially has accelerated our process and moving towards cash flowing our capital projects. An example of how we've done in the last few years with spending down those balances, and 2 years ago in June 23, we were looking at total projects, but project budgets, which were our active projects, our immediately planned projects, of about almost $1.2 billion. And as of September, the end of September, we're down at about 991 million, so down under 1 billion of that. And our balances, our active balances, are down from about 750 million to about 500 million. So that's about a 12% variance in the balances that we've carried in the past versus what we have now. And so again, by us shifting to accelerate our cash flowing of projects, we'll be able to work down on those balances, as well as, still move forward with some of the projects that we are actively working on. So although, we're figuring out ways to, continue to move forward with the resources we have available to us, our capital still has challenges, right? This is a photo of our CBD plinth, and it's before and after. And so that type of deterioration and wear and tear that I'm showing in this picture is things that we all know we've seen around the system. We have a vast capital need, and our backlog for just data good repair is about $2 billion right now. Each year around January, we have a process where we're reviewing all of the projects that are in the pipeline, projects that have already begun, and trying to decide, or what we do is determine what projects we will absolutely move forward with, given the funding that we have for that year. So although we're able to shift to this cash flow mindset when we're considering how we're funding our projects, we still have and continue to have, and this action actually adds a little more pressure on the fact that we do not have enough capital funding to get caught up on the things that we need to maintain our current system and hopefully, grow and expand and improve the system. So some of the examples of projects that we are canceling and deferring based on this exercise, and this list is not all inclusive, but we are still looking at other projects, and we are still trying to figure out ways to fund other projects, maybe with some dollars that we've previously had, or being able to wait until a future time to complete those projects. One is the Wabash Tunnel rehabilitation. We have come to you in the past to discuss canceling the Wabash planned improvements in order to support our operating budget. However, now that we are actually using capital for operating, we do still intend to cancel that project because of the additional strain on the capital budget. We also came to you in June, it was June, and presented that we would spend several dollars on 30 new buses, articulated buses, and those we are also canceling. Some of the deferred projects are library line rehabilitation, zero emission upgrades at Ross Garage. And, with the Ross Garage and the zero emission upgrades, we have set a goal to have zero emissions by 2045. As much as we would like to achieve that goal, this situation is requiring us to, reevaluate some of the current goals that we have and figure out ways that we may need to pivot in order to obviously maintain service and maintain the system adequately without maybe being able to reach that goal in the time that we would like. The West Busway Bridge restoration, East Busway Station repairs, we have planned service upgrades, and then our Hamnet Station redesign. So one thing that jumps out to me is the mention of a bridge. And I want to just mention that we all should be rest assured that these are not safety concerns with restoration. These are standard restorations that are conducted, and we generally try to make sure that we're getting those done before it becomes a safety issue. But there is still room, to postpone that work, and so that's the situation here. So as I mentioned, we are still working on evaluating several other projects, and our capital budget is, and our capital plan is dynamic at all times. And so, well, because we know that there is additional strain due to this on our capital budgets, future years, we will continue to work through how we're prioritizing and planning to complete these projects. Some of the examples of things that we're considering whenever we're looking at what projects would move forward are safety, what are our cash flow needs, what our community needs. Obviously, we want to make sure that what we're doing on capital aligns with our strategic initiatives. And are we maintaining compliance? The automatic fare refresh program is, our project is a prime example of that. We have a responsibility to collect our fares and make sure that we can easily do that and monitor that. And so that is something that obviously is still moving forward. So I know that in the past, we haven't gone into like deep dives of details on the capital during our operating and capital budget presentations. And so we intend to do that moving forward. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Dominica,
Yes.
from online. How do we typically measure safety? So when we look at what we might need to defer due to the capital budget, how do we and we mentioned how the bridge is restoration and it's basically preventative, not something that is immediately necessary for safety, but how do we typically measure safety in this type of context?
So that there are multiple ways that we look at safety. Mike stood up, and I'm sure he'll mention our chief safety officer and the work that goes into that. And there's a lot of compliance that we have to make sure that, or regulations that we have to be compliant with as it pertains to PennDOT and the FTA. Amy's group also manages a lot of inspections and things of that nature, working with external groups to work on, make sure that we maintain safety. But Mike, you can.
Thanks, Dominica. Yeah, it's pretty much a collaborative effort between our finance and grants team, our engineering group, and the legal division, which includes our safety and security professionals. And we meet as part of that yearly capital and then the longer term capital planning process to rate projects, and that includes a safety rating. And, specific to bridges and tunnels, that rating is typically based off, we have routine inspections for our infrastructure. And, if those ratings show that there's a critical safety issue, that's going to move to the top of the list to be funded for repairs. Otherwise, as Dominica noted earlier, we also have our bridges and tunnels on routine rehab schedules. So it's a collaborative effort, but safety is always at the top of the list. Of course, there's other capital considerations, but safety is the top one.
Okay. Thank you, Mike and Dominica.
Any other questions? All righty. There are no other questions. Okay. All right. Well, I will. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So I believe Emma dropped off. So
Okay.
with that, I believe that concludes our agenda for today, or do you have additional items to discuss?
Well, unless you tell me otherwise, I'll move forward with the financial statements review. But I mean, we can conclude it.
No,
Okay.
we're going to continue then. Thank you.
All right. So for the month of September, passenger revenue is about $25,000 below budget. So pretty much on par with what was budgeted. And our revenues for the month of September, about $300,000 above budgeted for the month of September. And that is primarily due to interest income. Expenses for the month of September are below budget by $4.5 million. That is because every expense category except for access is below our budgeted amounts. With access, those variances are often due to invoicing and timing differences. Subsidies in the month of September are below budget by about $500,000. That is primarily due to state operating assistance and lower invoicing for vehicle overhaul. And for the first quarter of our 2026 fiscal year to September, revenues are about $1 million above our budgeted amount, again, due to interest income. And expenses for the first quarter of our 2026 fiscal year are below budget by about $15.5 million, again, for the same reasons that I mentioned for the month of September. Subsidies in September are below budget by about $1 million, and that is primarily due to state operating assistance and, again, invoicing of vehicle overhaul and capitalizations. And for our cash situation, we began the month of September with $369.3 million. There were inflows of $8.6 million and outflows of $41.1 million, with an ending balance of $336.7 million in our operating reserves. Are there any questions?
Any questions from board members?
No question.
Okay, thank you. I do have note. Again, you emphasized the additional detail that will be provided in the future about capital. I think that is vital, and I appreciate that you guys being forthcoming with that. As board members, I think we have, I can speak for myself, and I imagine most members agree, we have concerns about moving forward with the status and future of our capital program. So thank you for volunteering that, and we appreciate that will be continue to be reported in future meetings. With that, if there's no other questions, do we have additional reporting, Dominica? Or are you concluded?
I am concluded. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no other questions, take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned, and we'll move on to our next meeting.
Good morning. I will now call to order the Performance Oversight Committee. Other committee members, will you please identify yourselves?
Tom Bergender.
Stephanie Terman.
Senator Williams.
Other
Chris
board
Purcell.
members?
Chris Purcell.
Jen
The
Liptak.
Bobby Fan.
The approval of the September 18th minutes have been circulated. If there are no questions regarding these minutes, if I could please have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Approved. Thank you. We will now have awarding of bids by Mr. Justin Cava.
Thank you, and good morning, committee members. I have 5 items today for your consideration. The first item is bid number B2508-54. This is for remanufactured new or exchanged Cummins turbochargers. These are engine components utilized in the repair of our PRT's bus fleet. In the picture that you see here, I'm actually holding a turbocharger. It was a little heavy, so I apologize for the straining. So the function of the turbocharger is actually to increase power by utilizing the engine's exhaust gases. This improves fuel efficiency and decreases emissions. 259 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 3 suppliers accepted the invitation. 3 bids were received. The recommendation that a contract be awarded to Cummins Incorporated in the estimated amount of $1,130,019.92. This will be over a 2-year period with no renewal options. Second item is bid number B2508-53. This is for bus HVAC return filters. These filters are utilized to repair the HVAC system in PRT's bus fleet. In the picture here, I'm standing next to 2 bus fleets just for a size comparison, as they are quite large. The function of these filters is to improve the air quality in the cabin by removing dust, pollen, and other particulates, and also to protect the bus's HVAC system. 319 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 2 2 suppliers accepted the invitation. 2 bids were received. A recommendation that a contract be awarded to Thermo King of Pittsburgh Incorporated in the estimated amount of $479,974.70. This contract duration will be a 2-year period with no renewal options. Item number 3 is for nitrile gloves. This is bin number B2508-55. These are utilized by PRT's maintenance staff to repair when they're working on engines or they're cleaning our facilities. The picture, yes, I am trying on one of the nitrile gloves. These are to provide a protective barrier for our operators, our maintenance staff from chemicals, any types of pathogens, or any types of abrasions that they may encounter in the field. 662 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity, 20 suppliers accepted the invitation, and 14 bids were received. A recommendation that a contract be awarded to United Sales Incorporated in the estimated amount of $130,500. This will be over a 2-year period with no renewal options. Any questions or concerns on the first 3 items? Okay. Item number 4 is B25-19R. This is for off-site record storage services. This is utilized by PRT's Administrative Services Department in the storage and retention of PRT records. This includes records pickup, archiving, barcode for our containers, redelivery of records as needed, and destruction of files. 136 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 2 suppliers accepted the invitation. 1 bid was received. A recommendation that a contract be awarded to Access Information Management of Georgia, LLC, in the estimated amount of $100,952.89. This will be over a 4-year period with no renewal options. And the last one, item number 5, this is a PA CoStarz purchase for Ford F-250 plow trucks. These will be utilized by our power and signal department for snow removal. The picture that you see here is a example of one of our plow trucks. They are coming to the end of their useful life. Therefore, PRT wishes to utilize the Commonwealth CoStar Schedule 025 for municipal work vehicles. Recommendation that this cooperative contract be awarded under the same terms and conditions of the PA CoStarz contract number 025-E25.664, which was awarded to Twin Pine Ford in the estimated amount of $191,400 for 3 Ford F-250 pickup truck complete with snow plows and salt spreaders. Any questions on the last 2? Okay, well, subject to any further questions, I respectfully request these bids be taken to the full board for approval.
Thank you, Justin. Do any board members have questions? Hearing none,
With
can I get a
regard-
motion?
No.
Yeah.
With regard to your record retention program, where you've got hard copy documents, where are they stored?
I believe they're stored in some, is it like a mountain area or some type of storage location? That's like a snow mountain. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there any other questions from board members? Hearing none, can I have a motion to move these to the full board?
So moved.
So moved.
And I'll take that as a second. Approved. We will now have proposed resolutions. I'm sorry. You were going to speak on solicitations, Justin?
Yes, that's correct. This is our quarterly report for upcoming solicitations.
We will now have the quarterly update of the tentative schedule of upcoming solicitations by Justin Cava. Sorry.
Okay. Every quarter we report our upcoming procurements for the coming up for the year. Anyone interested in bidding on these can use the website here for our e-business to get signed up. These are projected for the next 6 months. However, please note these can change depending on the needs of PRT. We have diesel exhaust fluid, on-call plumbing services, equipment cleaner, employee apparel, janitorial supplies, cleaning products, SysAid IT service management, financial and pension plan audit, financial advisory services, learning management system, co-location and data hosting services, TeamViewer, Tensor. And that's it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. We will now have proposed resolutions, beginning with Mike Setra for the settlement of public liability claim.
Good morning, Committee Chair McClenny, other committee members and board members. This resolution would authorize PRT to settle a public liability claim. An accident involving a PRT bus and a bus passenger occurred on June 24th, 2023 at approximately 5 p.m. near the intersection of East Carson Street and Fifth Avenue in the South Side neighborhood of the city of Pittsburgh. Alondra Gonzalez Nieves was a passenger on a PRT bus when it stopped suddenly and caused Ms. Gonzalez Nieves and another passenger to fall forward towards the front dashboard and steps area of the bus. Ms. Gonzalez Nieves suffered alleged physical injuries as a result of the accident, and her legal counsel submitted a personal injury claim and filed a lawsuit against PRT seeking monetary recovery. Following good faith settlement negotiations, the parties have agreed, subject to approval by PRT's board, to fully and finally settle the matter with no admission of guilt or fault by PRT for the total settlement amount of $228,500. Subject to any member questions, I respectfully request that the committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval.
Do any board members have questions? Hearing none, could I get a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Approved.
Thank you.
We will now have our next resolution by Mike Setra.
Thank you again. This second and final resolution that I have for the committee's consideration this morning would authorize PRT to enter into an agreement for South Hills Village Garage Facility Management Services. The South Hills Village Parking Garage is a 7-story, 2,200 parking structure located adjacent to PRT's South Hills Village T Station in Bethel Park. The contract services include day-to-day operation of the garage, on-site and remote customer assistance and support, general cleaning and routine inspection, and upkeep of the parking revenue collection equipment. RFP number 2506 for these services was publicly advertised, and 3 proposals were timely submitted to PRT by the due date on September 10th, 2025. Proposals were received from Parkway Corporation, Laz Parking Mid-Atlantic LLC, and Elko Parking Corporation. An evaluation committee consisting of representatives from our AIS, Legal and Corporate Services, Human Resources and Finance and Planning divisions was convened to evaluate the proposals. As detailed more fully in the summary of resolution in your committee packet, the evaluation committee rated Parkway Corporation as the highest rated proposer. Parkway Corporation is a privately owned corporation with over 90 years of experience in the parking management and real estate development industries. Parkway is the incumbent contractor and has significant hands-on experience managing and operating the garage, including successfully managing a project to modernize the parking access and revenue collection equipment at the garage to a new flash parking-based system in 2022. Their project work plan, staff, and costs were rated favorably and found to meet the anticipated needs of PRT for the services. Parkway also proposed the lowest cost of any proposer and was the only proposer who proposed costs that were within PRT's budgeted range and consistent with our own independent cost estimate for provision of the services. An agreement with an initial term of 3 years with the option for PRT to extend the agreement up to 2 additional years is recommended, with an initial total not to exceed amount for that initial 3-year term of $600,000. And that's recommended for award, again, to the highest rated proposer, Parkway Corporation. Subject to any member questions, I respect the request that the committee recommend this resolution to the full board for approval.
Point of order. When we are asking for a motion and a second for these proposed resolutions, the committee should be voting on these as well, in my opinion. Right?
Yes, and I was about to interrupt. Member McClenny, I believe you didn't call a vote on the last resolution, and I didn't get an opportunity to interrupt before Mr. Setra continued. So before we present this particular resolution, can we take a moment? And Member McClenny, can you call for a vote on the first resolution for the authorization of the settlement?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. We'll go back to the settlement of public liability claim. We had a motion and we had a second. All in favor, could you please say aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion? Approved.
Member
will now-
McClenny, I'd also like you to, if possible, can we go back and resolve the record with regard to the bids that were also presented by Mr. Kava?
Oh,
We
yes.
did receive both a motion and a second, but I believe that the record wasn't clear with regard to a vote.
Sure.
Thank you.
So we received the motion and the second. So all in favor of the awarding of bids, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any questions? So moved.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We will now have authorization for an agreement for a pool of firms for the architectural design.
No, we didn't vote on.
Sorry, Member McClenny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we
It's
just.
okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. It's early morning.
It's not a
We will-
problem. So this one is the authorization to enter into an agreement with regard to South Hills Village Parking Garage Facility Management Services. We were about to call for a motion and a second.
Okay. Could I please get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry about that. We
No
will now
worries.
move.
Thank you.
We will now move to the authorization to enter into an agreement with a pool of firms for architectural design services by Eric Bilski.
Good morning, committee members and board members. Today, I'm going to present to you a resolution that will authorize to enter into agreements with a pool of firms for architectural design services. This will be in response to RFP 25-01. The proposals were received on June 30th. There were 3 categories of service in the RFP. A, transit passenger facilities, which would include, for example, bus and rail station renovations, ADA access improvements, transit-oriented development, and other station improvements. 11 proposals were received in that category. We had category B, industrial building, which would include, for example, wash racks, paint booths, and vehicle lifts, other interior improvements to the cruise rooms, and other state of good repair improvements at our facilities. 12 proposals were received in that category. Category C is for new facilities and major expansion projects. This would include, for example, new bus division, a new overall shop, new non-revenue vehicle maintenance facilities, and those are examples of projects in this category. 10 proposals were received. So for the agreement, this would cover a term of 4 years under the base term with the option to extend 2 additional option period years. The work would be issued on a task order basis, and the total combined not to exceed value of the pool of agreements would be $46 million. This is not a guarantee amount. This is only a amount for an agreement as a not to exceed. And again, it's only authorized upon issuance of individual work orders for individual tasks. Next slide, please. So the total pool would include up to 9 category services, 3 firms in each category. So it would end up a total of 9. However, and I'm going to name off the firms that will be awarded. Some of the firms will receive an award in multiple categories. So we have a total of 6 firms that will receive an agreement under this RFP award. And I'm going to name them off in order of highest rank to third highest. So the first one is for category A, transit passenger facilities. That's HDR Engineering Incorporated, HNTB Corporation, and Johnson, Merriman, and Thompson. For category B, industrial building design, that's Gannett Fleming Incorporated, Johnson, Merriman, and Thompson, and HNTB Corporation. For category C, new facilities and major expansion, that's Stantec Architecture and Engineering Incorporated, HNTB Corporation, and AECOM Technical Services Incorporated. This is a listing of all the firms in all the categories that would be awarded for this agreement. So with that, pending any questions, I respectfully request that this committee move this resolution to the full board for approval.
Do any board members have questions? Hearing none, I ask for a motion to move to the full board.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will now have authorization to award construction contract for the Mount Lebanon Tunnel Rail Replacement Project by Mr. Greg O'Hare.
Good morning. So this resolution seeks authorization to award construction contract LRT 2503 for Mount Lebanon Tunnel Rail Replacement. The scope of work generally consists of rail and hardware replacement, special track replacement, concrete support modifications, Raleigh Avenue grade crossing replacement, excavation, new timber ties, new aggregate ballast, and temporary traffic control. There's a picture on the right that illustrates the condition of the rail inside the Mount Lebanon tunnel. You could see the rail with the attachment hardware, and as that sits on top of the concrete support plinths, just for illustration purposes of what the project generally consists of. So this slide on the left-hand side, there's a picture of Raleigh Avenue grade crossing. In the picture, Raleigh Avenue crosses our red line just north of Dormont Junction Station in Dormont Borough. On the right-hand side is a project location map, which is an aerial view of the project location that extends from Alfred Street in the southern area along the red line in Mount Lebanon to the north at Raleigh Avenue in Dormont Borough. In the middle is where our Mount Lebanon tunnel is. And this project also bounds Mount Lebanon Station and Dormont Junction Station. So here first, just to illustrate, there's a picture on the bottom of this particular slide, looking north from Alfred Street towards the Mount Lebanon tunnel, or Mount Lebanon Station, and Mount Lebanon tunnels that you can see in the background. You can see this area is in ballast, which is the stone aggregate, and timber ties, which will be replaced. We don't expect, or we expect minimal impact to service, as we'll be running single track through this area during construction. The project duration is 143 calendar days from notice to proceed. The reason for the long duration is that the special track work has a very long lead time. This work will be done in 3 phases. In the third phase, we anticipate won't take place until 2028 as we await procurement of that special track work. The special track work, just for edification, probably takes about 1.5 years from when the contractor orders it. So overall, the overall project is about 34 months. Phase 1 and 2, we anticipate to be about a month long each, which we hope to have that work completed next summer. Then there'll be a little bit of a break in the work there. So the low responsive bidder is Railworks Track Services, LLC, with a bid of $16,147,339. Pending any questions, I respectfully request the committee move the resolution to the full board for consideration.
I have a question concerning the red line in general, and maybe specifically to this area. Wasn't there an extended shutdown on the red line in 2024? And if so, what did that involve?
Sure, there was, and there was multiple areas of work. One of the areas of work in particular was just on the, I guess to say the foreground of this particular picture at Alfred Street, where we replaced the grade crossing. And in that picture, or in that project, we were replacing rail at other locations along the red line.
Nothing to do with the tunnel.
Nothing to do with the tunnel at the time, no, sir.
Do any other board members have questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Next, we will have authorization to award construction contracts for general construction, electrical construction, and plumbing construction for the bus replacement improvements project by Greg O'Hare.
Yes, thank you again. So this resolution seeks authorization to award construction contracts for SYS 2504 for bus lift replacement improvements for general, electrical, and plumbing construction. The scope of work generally consists of, we'll start at East Liberty and Ross Garages combined because there's combined scope. There is a replacement of bus lifts, replacement of the concrete floor and lift support pits, concrete repairs, plumbing construction in support of the work, temporary traffic control, and electrical construction in support of the work. Specifically at East Liberty Garage also includes masonry wall and foundation replacement, a guard booth replacement, and bollard installation. And then specifically at Ross Garage includes trench drain installation. So here's a picture on the left-hand side of a typical bus lift, just to illustrate what the bus lift looks like. The area bounded in yellow is the bus lift itself, or bus lift posts themselves. There's in this particular bus lift, there's 2 posts. And the reason for these bus lifts is to lift the buses up so that maintenance and PRT staff can perform maintenance on the underside of the buses. On the right-hand side is a project location map, an aerial view of the city of Pittsburgh in the north where Ross Garage is, and in the eastern neighborhoods where East Liberty Garage is, illustrated by a red pin and red circle. So the project duration is 620 calendar days from notice to proceed. We anticipate completion by the end of 2027. The low responsive bidder for general construction is Mercedes Construction Company with a bid of $6,167,576. The low responsive bid for electrical construction is Merit Electrical Group Incorporated with a bid of $433,270. The low responsive bid for plumbing construction is Wheels Mechanical Contracting and Supplier Incorporated with a bid of $797,200. And also we included on here is a picture of the guard booth that's out at East Liberty that is part of this project to be replaced. Pending any questions, I respectfully request the committee move this resolution to the full board for consideration.
Do any board members have questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
That now concludes the meeting of the Performance Oversight Committee. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
That is the conclusion of the meeting today. There is no technology committee meeting this month.
Okay, this is Chair Liptak. So that concludes all of our committee meetings today. Thank you, everyone, for the participation. And we'll see you next week at full board. Have a good day.